Hello, good morning, friends. I'm Dr. Amol Kuranne, and I think today is our first lecture online for non-obstetrical surgical emergencies in pregnancies. We are facing a COVID situation, and I wish you all an happy and healthy life ahead. Starting with our lecture, why we are worried for non-obstetrical surgical emergencies because we are facing different scenario for obstetrician, surgeon, anesthetist, and all the peoples. So for with objective for all this is understand the etiology of common obstetrical surgical occurrences in pregnant patient, review risk and benefit of intervention, and addresses the anesthesia techniques operative or anesthesia techniques most well suited for the patient, and review of the literature based on the outcome for data. Non-obstetrical causes, as we all know, the abdomen is full of organs, and it's called as magic box, and no one knows what is inside when we will open the abdomen. So there are multiple causes, but the main causes what we are facing are appendicitis, obviously, that we will cover it on the last part because it's a very important and routine situation. Biliary disease, ovarian diseases, breast diseases, cervical diseases, and bowel obstruction. Generally, these are all non-obstetrical causes for surgery. 1 to 2 pregnancies are complicated by non-obstetrical surgical problem. What we are seeing in the routine life. These are adrenal masses, appendicitis, biliary tract disease, small bowel obstruction, and diverticular diseases. Okay, as you can see, the major part is of adnexal masses. These are the occurrences, that is major part. Second cause is appendicitis, then gallstone, and then other. Why we are facing some challenges in all this situation? Because the physiological situation of the patient is very different from the routine non-pregnant state. Diagnostic imaging limitations, because we cannot use radiation in large much quantities. In some situation it is very difficult also. Anesthesia issues, we cannot make a diagnosis. The delaying diagnosis causes the problem. Communication of the patient is major issue. Fetal issues are there. Even we are operating on the patient, the fetal issues are going to happen. Maternal issues because of various physiological changes in the pregnancy. So what are those physiological changes? These are all over the body. It includes respiratory system, cardiovascular system, circulatory system, even body, abdomen, everywhere, nervous system. Major system what we are concerned with are respiratory and cardiovascular system, because it are anesthesia, from anesthesia point of view and surgical point of view, they are very important. From respiratory system, there is increase in minute ventilation, decrease in functional residual capacity, oxygen consumption increases greater than cardiac output increases, decrease in the SvO2, and aortic cable compression is there. Cardiovascular system, the cardiac output is increases by 30%, aortic cable compression with the increase in the abdominal pressure, increase in blood pressure with reverse Trendelenburg position, decrease in blood pressure with reverse Trendelenburg position, and increasing the blood volume. From surgical point of view, we are concerned, if laparoscopy we are doing, we are concerned for pneumoperitoneum, which increases in peak airway pressures, decreases in total lung compliance, hypoxic episodes possible, and supine position causes the decrease in PaO2. Hyperventilation to keep PaCO2 down can cause decrease in uteroplacental perfusion. Decrease in PaO2 or increase in PaCO2 again can cause the fatal harm. That's all the issues we are concerning in the anesthesia and operative wise in the laparoscopic procedures. So first and foremost, what we are facing is adnexal masses in pregnancies. 1 in 200 pregnancies are complicated by adnexal masses and which are greater than 6 centimeters. Treatment depends on the trimester. First trimester, second trimester, third trimester. These are all three situations we can face. Then we have to divide the masses and in according to its malignancy and benignity. Okay, is there a good likelihood that mass will regress? If it is so, we can wait and watch. And if the mass can cause some dystocia or a distortion and possible rupture is there, we have to consider and all address all these issues. Most common complication is ovarian torsion and it has got 5% occurrence, and rupture is most common in the first trimester only. We can see the rupture over here. Best approach for management is some masses which are less than 5 centimeter. We should expectant management. 5 to 10 centimeter watch unless complex on sonography. Any complication or complex masses we can intervene, but otherwise wait and watch according to the situation. If more than 6 centimeter after 16 weeks of gestation, we can operate on it. Biliary tract diseases are much common because of the, as we have discussed, the physiology is different and progesterone causes the stagnation of all the smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are relaxed and therefore stagnation in the vessels and biliary tract everywhere. So there causes the biliary colic, acute cholecystitis and all that things. There is increase in bile viscosity and decrease in bile flow and causes the biliary diseases. Many of the patients are asymptomatic even though there is a bile sludge or any bile stone or gallstone. Though they are present in 2.5 to 10% of patients, it may be asymptomatic. Right upper quadrant pain is most reliable sign and pain radiated into back. Vomiting causes in 50% of cases and mimic the appendicitis in the third trimester because the situation are almost same because of the gravid situation. In the biliary diseases, the gallbladder, there is increase in biliary sludge in the pregnancy because there is increased viscosity, increase in micelles and gallbladder relaxation. Increased risk of gallstone formation is there because of all this. Cholelithiasis causes of 90% cases of cystitis. 2.5 to 0.5%, 0.2 to 0.5%, 0.2 to 0.5 per 1000 pregnancies require surgeries. Otherwise, it won't. Treatment, many of cases symptomatic pain medications, nausea medications, IV fluid and surgical consultation, not operation each and every time. Individual based treatment is the best. No solid consensus of management is there. If medically treated, dermedol or morphine for pain or some smooth muscle relaxant, IV fluid, nasogastric suction and low fat diet are the treatment choice. Asymptomatic stones surgery is not recommended. Laparoscopic cholecystectomy is choice of treatment, but antibiotics, nasogastric intubation, compressive stockings, these are all needed. Various operative methods are different in the laparoscopy in pregnant women, as open trocar technique, pressure less than 12 millimeter of mercury, coagulation is okay, cholangiogram is also okay, and does not move patient, don't move patient position too rapidly in the surgery. Pancreatitis is not so much common, but still it is 1 in 3000 or 1 in 4000 pregnancies, and there is a high incidence of gallstone, and elevated amylase and lipase are the diagnostic purposes. Medical management of nasogastric tube and IV fluid and pain control, and we have to wait and watch and treat the patient. Here comes the second most diagnosis of the non-pregnant non-surgical non-obstetrical surgical emergencies is the appendicitis. It is 1 in 2000 to 1 in 6000 pregnancies. The rate are not well defined, and incidence is 0.05%. It is a difficult diagnosis in pregnancy, and why it is difficult, we will see. The immediate intervention in either or form is required, but unfortunately the diagnosis is difficult. Most common surgical condition of the abdomen, abdomen, the lifetime occurrence of 7%, peak incidence is 10 to 30 years of age. Most common non-obstetrical surgical intervention during pregnancy is appendicitis in abdomen. These are all occurrences in different situations in first, second, third trimester. Acute appendicitis requires extensive differential diagnosis because the situation is very difficult to diagnose and the presentation is difficult, and the lab tests are difficult to interpret, and the patient complaints, symptoms and signs are different from the routine cases. The fever and tachycardia may not be present. There are many times there is no rectal tenderness, no anorexia and vomiting, and all this leads to delayed in the diagnosis. Differential diagnosis, as we know, the abdomen is full of organs and it's a magic box. Almost everything is included in the differential diagnosis, but mainly are renal stone, gastroenteritis, pancreatitis, cholecystitis, mesenteric adenitis, hernia, bowel obstruction, preterm labor, placental abruption, chorioamnionitis, adnexal torsion, ectopic pregnancy, PID, round ligament pain. Why again the appendicitis should occur? Pathogenesis again comes to the progesterone. It causes the ficolids, parasites, foreign bodies, lymphoid hyperplasia, metastatic cancer and carcinoid tumor. Symptoms are almost similar in the normal pregnancy, and acute appendicitis are nausea, vomiting, anorexia, tenderness, abdominal tenderness and all these things. Pain is migrating from first trimester to second trimester to third trimester, first to second to third, first to second to third. There is shift in location, positional changes of according to the appendicitis, because the uterus is growing and according to that the cecum is also shifted, causing the shift in the appendicitis location.